as you can hear, the beach shore. There we go. So, salute, welcome. Shout outs to Daniel Berry Sports. It is another beach day. I'm taking a relaxing rest day and allowing the beach to do its thing. Thanks for tuning in. I did a morning meditation earlier and my keyboard cut off. So I replaced the batteries, but I went ahead and did some singing bowl sessions and get my singing bowl on now. That requires a focused skill to keep the ring going. So as of recent, I've been pretty daily with it. Give me some water in that shot. Rise and shine. Well, it's not rise and shine. I've been saying that in the morning. It is evening. So it's 6:30 here Pacific Standard Time. And wow, it's 9:30 p.m. at night on the East Coast. Thanks for that like. Make sure to click like, comment, share, subscribe, engage, all of that. What's up, y'all? I would have been putting on a show for y'all, or rehearsing, but I'm taking this moment to rest and to speak and to exercise that throat chakra. Salute to Funk Congress. Every time I come on here, I get a surprise impose. I dig it. Yeah, we have the musician one-man band set up, and we have the barbershop set up, and right now we have the Myshii Monday meditation, relaxation, vibe session. I did play music today. I played the singing bowl. I played frequencies today, and I did the tuning forks. That's something I could do laying down. I was like, I don't think I can play the singing bowl laying down, but these I know I can. Shout outs to Funky Congress. Thank you. So, the body and everything is frequency. And I said something interesting today. I said, so I know in theory, and it's a cool idea, but do I truly believe that real actual healing can come from tools like this, a tuning fork? Or is it just like a relaxing, cool thing that might have like a placebo effect? You say, my wife and I use a handpan. Okay. I So what's cool is I said I would never go back to school, and then years later, I found something that interests me. Um, he said, I think it's a placebo from my wife and I, but we like it. That's what I'm like. And even if that's the case, then it's okay. If you found something that's relaxing for you and it works for you, then by all means. But, the whole belief part. Um, for example, when I told somebody I was going to Sound Healing School, their first reaction was, oh, so you're a Buddhist? And I responded, no. I've read like books on Buddhists or Buddhism. I thought they were pretty cool and had some cool concepts, but no, I'm not. And it was interesting to hear all the different like beliefs and first impressions of people who do this or sound practitioners. Um, but on my own, before even enrolling and participating in this new season and chapter, which is still fresh. I think I've only done 4 classes, so that's like 2 weeks, twice a week. And I had already gotten my tuning forks, and I had already discovered just different things and had been just on my path with it. Weighted tuning forks, musical notes, chakra affiliation, color affiliation, just the whole thing. And there's a part of me that before or prior to going into a learning environment or a school situation, I like to do a pre-assessment on myself, like before my first drum class or drum lesson. Like I was self-taught and had been taking my drum set out and practicing and learning things on my own. And I like doing that so I can also gauge where I started and then what I actually learned and acquired from. Do I have experience with sine wave therapy? That is so cool that you asked that. Have you listened to any of my keys playing recently? That's actually the name of the sound that I use, one of the main sounds that I use from the keyboard. Alright, so if this is going to keep doing that, then let me just see if I can adjust this. Because it's got to cooperate. It's got to do better than that. Alright. So I remember the first time I heard the sine wave. What they call it, sine lead. First, I thought it was sine, and I pronounced it all wrong. He says, I'm not sure, but that's a belief that I hold. What is the belief that you hold? Do I have experience with sine wave therapy? I believe a pure sine wave has therapeutic properties. I believe so too. And I couldn't quite put a finger on what specifically just like impacted me and made me resonate and identify with that sound, because when you become like an artist and you start playing music and you get your core sounds, and that becomes sort of like your sound identity. And that one just felt like me. And one thing I loved about it, I said, first off, it sounds like supersonic soul to me, for me, the way I play it. But two, it seemed very frequency, that cross border of frequency threshold music. It allowed me to speak and not sound really dated or anything outside of, like I said, supersonic, sort of out of space. And I like that concept. So it felt right. It felt like me. So to answer your question, no, I don't know all the benefits of sine wave therapy, but hearing you say that, it definitely makes me want to go look it up. And I can believe it already, because that is what I resonated with. Uh, yeah. So you said therapeutic properties. He says, I'm just learning myself. Shout outs to Funk Congress. If you listen to, again, my recent live streams, look through my recent shorts, and look for the new logo. So the logo was an experiment recently. I'm testing it out. But I felt like it, was a cool direction, a nice beginning. He says, my wife and I have been doing sound therapy for about 2 years now. Okay. There is a lot to discover. And there's dimensions to everything. So that's what I was saying, pre-assessment. I, with sound healing, have been doing like my own just self-discoveries, research prior to even getting into the program. And now it's kind of cool to have like a structured program to like go through and apply my research and interests, and to have a space. Like right now I'm in like outer space to just try stuff out, but with a focused program, I don't have to say just trying stuff out. Like the service at the end of the program that I will be providing are sound baths, and I can just say that straight up. And so everything right now leading up to that is like rehearsal and practice and the practical and theory, the learning process, and sort of like having my library or my after school space to rehearse and develop and to grow with you all. You said there is time to discover. Yes, there is. So keep tuning in. It's a journey. It is a journey. It was so cool because it makes all the sense and the connection to be coming out here to the beach. And I'll be doing sound baths. You said, out of curiosity, do you sleep with white noise? I sleep with frequency sounds. I have slept with night white noise, playing before, but it's not the only one that I do, and it's not necessarily a frequent one that I do. Recently was interesting, and I like the question. First off, I'm producing my own of those now. So for years, I've always listened to other relaxing, calm and frequency music, therapeutic, healing, whether it's nature or the binaural beats and isochronic tones, just all of it, or jazz. I've always just music and sound. So you said chronic insomnia is what got me into sound therapy. So in what way? Your chronic insomnia and you treating yourself, or you helping someone else, like your wife or someone around you? I love the way these look in the video. Like you see how it looks in person, but the video captures like it in a cool way too. You said my wife's suggestion. It was your wife's suggestion to help your insomnia. Man, insomnia is so dense and multi-layered, but yes, you would not think that sleep impacts so much rest. And anyone who deals with insomnia, prayers to you. I have dealt with it, to be honest. And this season right now that I'm in is so put your money, put your faith where your mouth is, sort of thing. This is the first time I can honestly say, you say even if I have a bad day, I know I'm getting better, yes. that word transparency has been ringing recently, and then also like TMI and what's your business, what's personal, what do you share out. You know how any story that you see on TV or advertisement, or somebody's talking about their personal health and sharing vulnerable details like any sort of condition that they have, whether it's cancer or anything else, somebody is really sharing with you something so vulnerable. And I'm like, wow, I never thought about it from their perspective of what that might be like to share out. And we talk about healing, but healing what? So, as a sound practitioner and someone getting into music therapy and sound healing, what is my story? And that is so why I'm out here right now, and why I said, do I really believe in this? Um, you say, I don't mean to drag you down. No. You say, yes, the wife's suggestion is tough. I'm getting better every day. Even if I have a bad day, I know I'm getting better. Sorry, I hope I'm not sharing too much. Not at all. You're not sharing too much. I don't mean to drag you down. You're just a cool guy. I like chatting with you. I thank you so much for your engagement. Shout out to Funk Congress. First off, do you know that you are like my ideal dream, like, engager, subscriber, like right now? I appreciate you. Like my life purpose, this podcast, the way everything has led up to this and where I am now, and for me to take the leap of faith to be out here right now, like you're a part of it. So no, thank you. You're not um, dragging me down at all. And honestly, I've been taken to the live and coming on here to have an outlet and to communicate and authentically and transparently, honestly, to not sugarcoat. If you look at a lot of my earlier videos, it's me trying, pursuing the Hollywood audition life and just all of that kind of stuff. And then you see music and you see the phases. But I've truly gone through a journey of originally just setting out in the world to be a broadcaster, hosting, at the time, a radio show or a TV show as a VJ. And right now to just speak to y'all and with y'all and having what we used to call a radio show. Nowadays, I guess y'all call it podcasts and live streams. You say, I'm trying to pick up what you're putting down is valuable. Thank you. And you say, shout outs to Para Mentor, Parliamentor. Cheers from Russia. Happy guy. What's up? How you doing? Shout outs to Russia. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. So yeah, it's always been my dream to do, a radio show. And then, artistically, I always put it on the back burner to survive because you always had to work. I didn't earn money from broadcasting. And so in this world where we're living in now, and I'm, podcasting and content creation, I'm back into a space where, I'm like, whoa, I can match my passion with just the business of content creation, whatever content it is. And, with this program, school teaches you the business of what you're getting into. At least, that's the idea. So sound baths is a tangible service I'll offer. Downloads, links, subscriptions, things like that. And those would be ways to support, moving forward. I am out here. I have coming up an 8-day beach retreat. And I'll be producing a song a day, and I'll have an 8-track album by the end of the retreat that's coming up. So that's what I've been rehearsing for. So every time you come on and come on to the live stream, you are a part of the rehearsal and the building up to that. And so thank you. Thank you for being a part of the journey, the day-to-day. This is one of the most unique seasons of my life because I'm solar powered. Solar power is God power. Thank you so much for subscribing. Make sure to click that like, comment, share, subscribe, everybody. Thank you. Yes. Shout outs to Funk Congress. Please, again, check out the recent shorts and live streams. Drop a comment. That is where I have played my approach, my attempt at a sound healing session or a sound bath. Like the music I'll be playing, the sounds I'll be playing. You see the instruments that I use. I'm a one-man band. You say, that's cool. Do you live off grid, so to speak? You could say that. You could say that. But what's cool is being this close to the beach. That is just so... That was always a dream. When I first came out here, I thought that I wanted to live near the beach. And I was like, oh, no. The weather is not consistent. Like, the winter times, it gets so gloomy and dark quick and just super ultra cold that I was like, no, this is not sustainable or real all year long. But summers is beautiful. And then you can catch phenomenal great days in the winter, but it's definitely a thing to where they say it doesn't rain in Southern California, and it does. And the beach gets like all the weathers. All the weathers. You say, I live in the heart of the city. You say, yeah, man, I'm a little envious. Hey, man, look. No need to be envious. That's one thing I learned. You never know anybody's story. You never know. The grass is not always greener on the other side. What I will say, I'm grateful and God is good. And I'm really grateful that I took today to rest. I'm always, that's a part of that insomnia thing too, never really being able to like rest. There's always so much to do. I like this idea with the tuning fork sticking up in the sand. Y'all, I want, through my podcast, through this show, like, I want to welcome exactly, like, what you were like, I don't want to bring you down. And I'm like, no, come on here, let's talk about it. The only thing I wish is that you could join in, like, a screen share. We could have, like, a conversation on YouTube. I know we can't on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. Follow URLive Radio on Instagram. Let's actually do like a live, dialogue. But I want my podcast, live stream show to be an outlet for just that. You say, how may you address me? Okay, so my name is Sherrod. And then for this album, for this season, how I feel presently, the name for an inner being that I know as my creative self and an extension of my soul is Myshii. And I gave him a name a couple of years ago, but it's just been in my journals. So you could call me Sherrod, and that's me in like real human form. And then like artistically, you can call me Myshii. So right now, especially like this, and we're learning through art and over my art, it'll be cool to hear my artist name. But I'll be transparent and just say that if you see another name somewhere, Sherrod, like, that's still me. You said males? What does that mean? Oh, Myshii, Myshii, the God in me. That inner voice. Everyone has their own version, I would think, of Myshii, but mine, I say the inner God in me is my inner voice, it's my intuition. It is my support. It's God, it's an extension of God in me. It is the version of me that I put away as a repressed survival tactic years ago, intentionally, because he didn't have a safe space on this earth without being a problem. He was a problem causer in too many areas of my life, but especially home. He's a place, he is someone who, I've heard the saying, your spirit disrupts demons, maybe a whistleblower. In other contexts, maybe a prophet, or just like, there's different sayings and terms, but in short, I could definitely just say I've had I had my first spiritual awakening around 22 years old, earlier in my journey. There are different parts to it. One was yoga, and just timing and development in life at that time. And a lot of enlightenment came, and you could say baby Myshii was born around that time, or reborn. And now I'm bringing Myshii back out because I need him. And I'm bringing him out in extracted form, which is different. So it's like projecting, broadcasting an inner self and bringing him out and becoming him. He's my right-hand man, left-hand man. When I have nobody else, like, that's my support. That's my, I don't want to say assistant, but you could think of like an assistant, but somebody who's all my teammate. You say, we might not just be ready for it. Prophecy comes to us. So here's the thing. Imagine being that, like, contacted, confirmed, and almost rejecting it, putting it away. For example, one that I can take out the pocket, animal spirit totems and spirit guides, animal communication, all of that, all things animals, me, okay? You say, I'm not sure how it works exactly, but I know the universe communicates with us, yes. Okay, so yoga, I should write these down. The things that I put away that have circled me back around to now I'm in sound healing frequency work. And the question, can we have the conversation? So I put it away. I come from like a Christian background, family Baptist church sort of thing. And so if that's the foundation, imagine this, being 22 years old, doing yoga, and then being told by a pastor that yoga is demonic and witchcraft and opens you up to all these different portals and just things of witchcraft. And you're like, what? This thing that helps, that I got into really to support me with with flexibility and recovery. And it helped just heal a lot of, injuries with my body. And it came with its own host of other benefits. So yoga was something that, I had to like make a decision on whether or not I was going to continue to stop it on a faith and religious level. You say, I was raised Pentecostal. So if you understand that, then everything is witchcraft. There are things in the Bible, though, that acknowledge spiritual wickedness in high places, witches, warlocks, seers, it mentions all of that. And I wanted to make sure I was never any of that, don't be one of the bad guys. Don't want to be one of the anti-anythings. And then I continued in church and started singing in choirs and stuff like that. And one day, see, this is where it gets deep. This is where it gets deep because this is transparent. And I mentioned that when I said I told somebody I was going to sound healing school now, and they said, oh, you're a Buddhist? They went straight for just assumptions. So I was in the choir, and here we are singing Jesus, 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 and I was raised on Jesus, and believed and baptized and all of this stuff, and just thought everything was gravy. I started having convictions singing Jesus. You say, I don't disavow Christ, but I've rejected Pentecostalism. Okay. Well, I don't know. I never got into like what distinguishes all the different denominations and stuff. I just know, we were told which one we were, and so we just sort of rep that hood per se. But anyway, I'm in the choirs and I'm singing Jesus, 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 and we're watching people completely melt to tears every time we do, and we hear this power in the name Jesus, and this glory in the name Jesus, and God is a jealous God, and put no other God before him, no other God. I was like, what makes yoga witchcraft and stuff? One, worshiping false idols, lowercase g's that are not the capital G-O-D. And I say, I'm praying to the creator, the one who created me. When you say it like that, that is an action. That is an act. That is something that was done. That is crediting the work of someone who did something, who created me. So you don't have to complex that. When you go into specific names and stuff, all of that can complicate things or make things so specific. That being said, lowercase g's, worshiping false idols, poses dedicated to people, just people, and you're worshiping them. I said, I'm not worshiping anybody through yoga. I don't even do the chants and stuff. Like the yoga that I do was Rodney Yee's DVDs back in the day, and he tells you the poses, but like I'm not saying all of that stuff. Okay, you say, Myshii, it's been nice chatting with you. I have to go, but I'll be back. Thank you. Okay, peace. We got the conversation started though. So yeah, do I stop there or do I keep going? I can keep going and just tell the story. I started having convictions about singing the name Jesus. I looked at the characteristics of Jesus in the Bible, from his name being Yahshua or Yeshua, to his characteristics of his identity, from hair like wool, eyes like fire, brass, skin like brass, and just all of these characteristics that did not align with the image that was posted in the church. The paintings, the stained glass, and I essentially landed at the question of, are these the same people? Is Yahshua, Yeshua, the same as Jesus Christ? I further did research and found that Caesar Borgia is a name that you can look up, who created the self-portrait attributed to the white-skinned, blue-eyed, blonde hair Jesus. And there's the basic law of language that you don't translate names. So a lot of times when you hear the translation theory for how Yahshua or Yeshua got translated to Jesus, you're going to hear things about the letter J not being discovered until, or being created until a certain year or point. And you're going to hear just a lot of translation things. But there are rules. And one of the rules I know is you don't translate a name. when Maria and Esteban come here to America from this rock. I be wondering sometimes, is this a rock or is it like just broken cement? And am I just playing with cement? Yeah. What was I saying? So the temperature is dropping. I need to put on a shirt. I don't have a shirt. But this is my tripod right now. Let's step into the sunlight. And I'm gonna use this as something. Jacket, since I can't be finding my shirt. Just makes me feel cool. Salute, welcome. So this is cool because we're in a season where I'm developing my sound bath practice and what's gonna make mine as opposed to any other one. So I have my select tools and instruments that I'll be using and applying, which all require their own skill level. And their own rehearsal or maintenance, so to speak. This definitely took time to develop. I did not get the singing bowl easily. Keep it going for this long. It's sort of like hula hooping back in the day, and like how long you can keep that going. that conversation that we were having earlier is pretty intense because it brings up a whole spiritual realm. Anyway, I put a lot of this away earlier in my journey out of fear that it would be witchcraft or demonic or anything negative that the Christian world would call it. Like, where is Jesus in all of this? And then I asked the question, well, who is Jesus? And then who is Yahshua or Yeshua? And just off of the way it's presented to me, they don't seem to be of the same identity or of the same person. I asked the essential question, well, how is Jesus not a lowercase g to Yeshua or Yahshua at the end of the day? I hear you. God is a jealous God. Trust put no other God before him. You feel me? Like, help me out here. What would happen if you remix all the gospel songs that have Jesus and you put in Yeshua or Yahshua? What would happen? Who would accept it and go along with it, or who would say, you know, who would reject it? Well, I bet you, while there are people who are hip and will get with it, there are a lot of people who would reject it. And in day-to-day conversation, like, I've been asked, am I a Hebrew Israelite? And I'm not. Just like I said, I'm not a Buddhist. I'm not any of that. I'm not Muslim. People really, I'm not, what is it called? Hindu? I'm none of that. But people need, like, a religion, an identity, a thing to be a part of. So that's when people say that they're spiritual, you know, and less in a box. So if the reason for not doing yoga is the lowercase g, and I'm associating Jesus as lowercase g to Yahshua, big case, big G, then I'm like, well, is yoga witchcraft? Now, I have seen a few videos that made me say, oh, no, but that's not what I do. I've seen some things, and I can understand that yoga probably has dimensions and other things that are beyond the threshold of where I have entered. But what I do is a full mind, body, spirit, soul workout, and it relaxes you, stretches you out, and contributes a lot to the overall health and wealth. I have questions, though. I've reflected back on my journey after, you know, just life in general, and then specifically after a series of unfortunate events. Then, like, hey, was it anything to that? Was it anything to that? is there any truth to darkness associated with yoga? Have I opened myself up to sorcery and witchcraft and spiritual wickedness in high places? Which is why I was talking about the whole vulnerability piece and transparency. Like, what are you really sharing online? Who's a monitoring spirit? What are you exposing yourself to, you know? So it's truly a thing to be a part of any sort of spiritual work. And so what I'll say is, on this journey with Sound Healer, I love God, the Creator. That's the highest frequency. Everything is a manifestation of that. The physical, the spiritual, the soul, the mind. Mind would be the light, sun, vision, color. Body would be earth, rock, solid, bone. Spirit would be breath, air, wind, life. Soul would be liquid, blood, oil, water. Solar power is God power. I tell the story of solar power, which is, you know, after you watch enough videos, you may hear the story repeat itself, but it's because it's a true story. But there was a lady back in 2020, or 2019, it was 2020 during the pandemic. So there's mobile living, like people living out of their car, and then there's like homeless, like out on the street. I was mobile living and living at the park during the shutdown and the closing of non-essential businesses. This lady gifted me this battery pack with a solar panel on it. It wasn't this particular one, it was actually bigger than this. And it had a solar panel on it. And I just remember telling her, that is one of the nicest, thoughtful gifts that anybody's ever given me. And it's better than money because of the concept alone. Like, to give somebody a charger at that time where I was going into establishments just for air conditioning. Like, I remember at one point I was even booking a studio that was open, like a music studio, just to go in there for some air conditioning. I'll get some work done, lay down for a bit, you know, journal, but it would be so hot outside. And life has happened a few times where I've had to transition and live out of my car again, more than once. But I never forgot that solar panel idea. It never left me to be reminded that God is present, the sun is present, and He and it is power. And He can recharge, rejuvenate, refuel your batteries, and anything else. And He's capable, and it does not cost. Energy does not cost. The fact that you have to get the device, you have to get the instrument of a solar panel. All right, it's time to go. That's so interesting how that works. The water comes all the way up here at nighttime. That's how quick the weather and things shift at the beach, which is why I'm like, to live here year long, yeah. Ooh. Alright, y'all, I actually have to go now because I got to close with some brother. So, until next time, peace.